This is a CBS 42 special report.
That's Bolden who came in motion, got it in the flat, and got a touchdown. Slade Bolden dives into the end zone for his very first career touchdown.
So just when Ohio State cut it to 14 late in the third quarter, Alabama says not so fast. Slade Bolden's touchdown put the Crimson Tide up 21, and that's all she wrote in Miami Gardens. Alabama wins another national championship. Count them. That's 18. The final score in Miami, Alabama 52, Ohio State 24. And Sherry, Ohio State just didn't have the firepower to hang with Alabama.
Tide fans saying how sweet it is. Number 18. Lots of excitement from Miami to Tuscaloosa. There's a live look at Nick Saban, and now the Tuscaloosa Strip, where fans just started streaming out there, celebrating. Lots of people. We could see it with about a minute left in the game, and that crowd just grew and grew. And now you see Tuscaloosa police there letting them know that they don't need to be out there celebrating. They said they didn't want to do that.
That's
CBS
right.
42 has been your official home, though, for SEC football all season long. And, of course, that ends tonight with the 6th national championship for Nick Saban.
That's right, and the Crimson Tide now since 2009. We welcome you into our special team coverage. I'm Art Franklin.
And I'm Sherry Jackson. A lot to get to tonight, bringing you all of Saban's postgame press conference. That's as soon as he steps up to the podium. We will break away. That'll be happening in the next few minutes.
That should, and it's a historic win for Coach Saban. It's his 6th with the Alabama Crimson Tide, his 7th overall as head coach. You may remember he also won the 2003 BCS National Championship. That was with LSU. That win breaks his tie with Bear Bryant for the most championships in college football history. The Saban era has been one of dominance. 6 titles since he arrived in Bama are triple the number of the next 2 teams on the list.
Both LSU and Clemson have 2 championships apiece in that span, and you could tell after the game how proud Nick Saban was of this team.
Well, to me, this is the ultimate team. All these guys bought into everything they needed to do to be the best players that they could be. There's more togetherness on this team than almost any team that we've ever had. And they had to overcome and persevere so much adversity through this season, and they've done it magnificently. And I'm so proud of this group for what they've been able to accomplish and going undefeated and winning a national championship.
You can hear the emotion in his voice. CBS 42 has team coverage tonight as we wait for Nick Saban to take the podium. Drew Carter, Chris Brees, live outside Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida.
And Malik Rankin is at the Strip in Tuscaloosa, but we begin in studio with Simone Eli breaking down what happened in this exciting game.
Yeah, Art and Sherry, we knew coming into this matchup that we were going to see a lot of points on the board. Ohio State averages more than 43 a game, Bama nearly 50 throughout this season, and the usual offensive weapons were on full display early on for the Tide. Let's head out to Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. A #1 seed has only won a national championship once. That was LSU last year. Injured Tide offensive lineman Landon Dickerson out at midfield doing the coin toss. First play from scrimmage, handoff goes to Buckeyes running back Trey Sermon. He's been dominant the past 2 games, but unfortunately is injured on this first play of the game, forced to go to the locker room. He would not return. A huge loss for the Buckeyes. Meanwhile, first Tide offensive drive. How about this? Mac Jones scrambles. The shuffle pass goes to none other than Jalen Waddle. Back from that fractured ankle he suffered in October. That play would extend the Bama drive. Couple minutes later, handoff to Najee Harris. He's in for the 1-yard score, and it's 7-0. Buckeyes, though, not going away. Sermon out. Master Teague in for the 8-yard touchdown run. Buckeyes respond to tie it up 7-all. Alabama's first drive ended in a touchdown. The second drive would as well. Sark getting it done. This time Jones to Devontae Smith, the Heisman winner, in from 5 yards. Tide back on top, 14-7. But credit the Buckeyes early on. They tied the game again, however, not for long. 3 minutes to play in the first. Mack on the throwback pass to Najee Harris. He scrambles. He's into the end zone. 22 hard to stop. Harris scores. Bama leads at 21-14. Just before half now, Jones in the pocket, looking long, airs it out to the Heisman winner again. Devontae Smith, 42 yards to the house. Smitty had 12 receptions in the first half, the most in any college football playoff national championship game. Alabama on top 35-17 at the break. Second half now, nobody wants to see this right here. Devontae Smith attempting to catch a pass, gets tackled by the Buckeyes defender. He's then on the sideline getting checked out by the medical staff. He would go into the tent for more than 20 minutes and eventually head to the locker room. He did not return to the game. Late in the third quarter now, defense stepping up big for the Tide. Ohio State facing a 4th and short. How about Christian Barmore making a big tackle for loss to turn the ball over on downs, and Alabama would capitalize on the turnover. Najee Harris in from 1 yard out, all but seals the deal at that point, 52-24, and that would be your final score. Alabama wins it. A huge win for the Crimson Tide. Devontae Smith, 12 catches, 215 yards, 3 touchdowns. All of that came in the first half. Let's send it out now to Chris Brees and Drew Carter, who saw all the action from Miami's Hard Rock Stadium, guys.
Simone, it's an indictment of what this program under Nick Saban has always been about. These guys want to win a championship so desperately. Najee Harris, Alex Leatherwood, Devontae Smith, Dylan Moses, they all came back for this one reason. That was the only reason why. You could see it in their play not only tonight, the entire season.
Yeah, Chris, it was purely a team for Alabama. And I think that's why we saw the raw emotion from Nick Saban, not just tonight, but after they won the SEC championship, after they beat Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl, and then again tonight here at Hard Rock Stadium. I think it's fair to say that this is one of Nick Saban's favorite teams. Maybe it's tied for first. Maybe it is alone in first place. You could just see how much you love these guys. And I think a big reason why is what you just said. They sacrificed for the team. Look at Jalen Waddle. The guy was hobbling around out there on one leg, and he still made a couple of plays. This was a team-first team for Alabama, and it showed they just dominated everyone.
We have so much more to get to, but Nick Saban is live at the podium. We'll take it right now.
You'll go ahead and give that to Coach, and then we'll mute your microphone while he's answering. Coach, again, congratulations. Please give us a brief opening statement.
Thank you. Well, I'm just so proud of our team for what they've accomplished all season long, the adversity that they had to overcome, the togetherness that they have as a group, the way they've supported one another.
CBS 42 presents the Bracket Challenge Special, presented by Pepsi.
A historic season for Alabama hoops, and who says they're done? SEC regular champs, check. Title champs, check. Tournament champs, check. But Nate Oates wants so much more. Bama going dancing with the firepower to make a deep run, or so they think. Chris Brees, Drew Carter, Simone Eli will join us on a bracket special. We'll be with you till 7 o'clock. Take note, preface this. You don't need to make picks with us or choose our picks because we may not always be right.
Probably not. In fact, we're definitely going to be wrong, but we're going to do our best. And you see here Alabama, you mentioned it, Chris. What an amazing season. They get a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, and they face the Iona Gales. We learned this just yesterday.
And they are going to face a very familiar face with Rick Pitino now going from Louisville back to Iona. What a name to go up against.
Yeah, seriously, Chris. You win the SEC, you go 16-2 in conference play, and your reward, a date with Rick Pitino, a guy who's just the 3rd coach in history to lead 5 different teams to the NCAA tournament. This might have been his best coaching job yet. Iona won the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, the MAAC, as a 9 seed to earn that automatic bid. So is Pitino celebrating sneaking into the field of 68?
We got dinner, and then we immediately left at 10 o'clock. We didn't take off. We sat on the plane for an hour. We got in about 1:32, and we're going to celebrate when we get to the Final Four.
Now, Pitino later clarified that was a joke, but you got to love the confidence from a coach who's taken a team to the Final Four 7 different times. Hard to be confident, though, when you look at the numbers. Through 140 games all time in tournament history, a 15 seed has only beaten a 2 8 times. That's a winning percentage of .057. The last time it happened was 2016. Middle Tennessee beat 2 seed Michigan State. For more on Bama's mindset heading into Saturday, let's check in with Simone Eli.
Yeah, Drew, not many folks have heard of Iona, but the program has made 10 NCAA tournament appearances in the last 20 years. Their only first-round win back in 1980. However, their head coach, Rick Pitino, knows all about winning in March. Nate Oates preparing for the challenge ahead.
Obviously well coached with Coach Pitino. I just started watching their last game. I got the last 5 games loaded up on my computer, so I don't know a whole lot about them, but assume they're going to be well coached, going to play hard. I don't know Rick. I respect him. I remember having his coaching tapes when I was back in high school when I knew I wanted to coach. He's a Hall of Fame coach, been doing it at a high level for a long time, got a lot of respect for what he's done. He does a good job. He's obviously been an NBA coach at Louisville, Kentucky. He's won national championships, but his Iona team's different than those other teams. I just started watching their Fairfield game from yesterday. I've got it right here on my laptop in front of me, but it looks like they've got some decent size. They've got some athletes. Gets them to play super hard. We're fortunate enough to get by them, and we'll either play against Kalen Smith in Maryland or against Danny Hurley's group.
Alabama has been a 2 seed just twice before, in 1987 when they made it to the Sweet 16 before falling to Providence, and in 2002 the Tide won its first round game before losing to Kent State. Bama is 21-21 in the NCAA tournament and has never been to the Final Four. Guys, NATO's trying to change that.
Yeah, well, let's go through this bracket, shall we? Starting with Region 4, it's the East region, the Alabama region. Now, Bama fans, take solace. You were, in fact, the top number 2 seed in this bracket. Michigan's the worst 1 seed. They're on that 1 line. Then Texas and Florida State round out 3 and 4 here. Initial observations on this Region 4 bracket.
Well, Chris, Michigan is a team that's kind of limping into the NCAA tournament. Isaiah Livers, one of their best players, probably going to miss the entire thing. For me, what really stands out from an Alabama perspective is I'm afraid of the 7 seed UConn. We know they've won 2 championships in the past decade. They've got a guy in James Bouknight who could be a Kemba or Shabazz type. I'm scared of that if I'm an Alabama fan.
First of all, look at all of the blue bloods.
Yeah.
Play-in game for Michigan State and UCLA, UConn, Maryland, everybody you mentioned. I'm looking over here, and I'm very curious. Do you realize that there are a lot of champions in this bracket? Yeah. Alabama won all their championships. Michigan's a Big Ten champion. Florida State lost in their championship game in the ACC.
Texas.
And then Texas won their Big 12 championship. So I'm seeing a lot of people who know how to win, and Alabama may not like that.
This is CBS 42's College Football Saturday pregame, presented by Pepsi.
We mentioned off the top of the show, Jim's new venture, The Next Round Live. This thing has taken off, and man, you guys are having so much fun.
We are, man. We own the company, and the response has been really great. At Next Round Live on Twitter and on YouTube, go follow us, and we love interacting with everybody.
And what's so fun about you, Lance, and Ryan Brown, guy we play golf with all the time?
Yep.
What's so fun is your interaction with people every day of the week.
Yes.
And some of these comments are just fantastic. And you had a comment that you were reacting to Joel Klatt, one of your good friends, about who he thought were the best coaching jobs around the country right now.
Yeah, and I didn't hate Joel's list, but he had Texas number 1. And, I like the Texas job, but how is Texas the number 1 job? I mean, you can make a case for Ohio State, but Alabama's a pretty good job, And LSU wasn't in there at all. The last 3 coaches at LSU have all won a national championship.
And so you think about what you said, and you got a couple of responses here. This one's fantastic. This guy says Texas A&M number 1. I mean, they had no problem paying Jimbo Fisher $9 million for that fantastic win against Colorado.
Yeah, they do have a lot of oil money, so they'll spend that. And on my comment about LSU, Mike bounced in and says, yes, if Coach Saban had stayed at LSU. And that's a great point.
Mike with no profile picture, by the way. So it's an interesting conversation. You can look at it 2 ways. Historically, what are the best coaching jobs? And right now, what are the best coaching jobs? 2 very different lists.
This is CBS 42's College Football Saturday, presented by Pepsi.
It is always business as usual for the Alabama Crimson Tide, right? That's what Nick Saban wants his guys to feel like every single week. This might as well be Bryant-Denny Stadium instead of Kyle Field at Texas A&M in College Station, because Alabama is so focused. There they are, getting off the bus a little while ago, getting ready. That 7 p.m. kick against Texas A&M, it's easily going to be the latest game they have all year long. You got to wonder what those players have been doing mentally to stay prepared all day. And we're wondering, D. Jackson had all day to soak in all that great atmosphere there on Kyle Field. Live with us out there at College Station.
I got to tell you, this is one of the great atmospheres in all of college football. I mean, this is one of those places where you see a lot of off-kilter things, and A&M has so many different traditions. So I had an opportunity to hit the streets and ask some of the student body, what's going on with all these crazy things that you guys do here in College Station? What is Fish Camp?
Fish Camp is like a camp that they have for the freshmen where all the freshmen learn all the traditions. So I think I'm going to be pretty good because I went to Fish Camp.
When the Aggies score, I score. So, like, I get to give her a kiss.
I just go with my friends. I don't go with boys.
So does that mean you're not going to go with them now?
Well, I'm not going with him tomorrow.
Hey, can you explain the 12th man?
Oh, okay. So, there was a football game and then, I don't know. Somebody got injured, and then they were like, oh no, we don't have enough people.
So someone actually from the crowd suited up and got ready to come on the field in the event that they were needed.
That's why at the football games, everybody in the stands up the whole game, so that way we can support the football team.
Who can tell me what the midnight yell is?
That's the night before the game where like all of our yell leaders go on the field and we meet there at midnight and just like kind of like run through our cheers and like get excited about the game.
We don't know what cheerleaders are at all.
Yeah, no, we don't have cheerleaders. We just have our midnight yell leaders. Or our yell leaders, sorry.
How many yell leaders are there?
5.
There are 5?
And they're all really hot.
It's the 2 juniors and then the 3 seniors.
Who is the highest ranking member of the Corps of Cadets?
Reveille. It's the dog.
What is your favorite thing about Reveille?
Well, if I had her in a class, that'd be awesome because if she barks, that means the class is let go. So that'd be kind of cool.
Well, I guess she's barking right now. If this is your bus, I guess I won't hold you up. You know, one thing I learned about Reveille is that when she's with her cadets, if she falls asleep on one of the cadets' bed, they have to actually sleep on the floor because she is the highest ranking cadet in the Corps. Another thing that I got an opportunity to see here at Kyle Field, I was just telling Ron Gaines, our photographer here, I felt like I was at a parade. The cadets come around and they march around the stadium, and then there's this, I don't know what you call it, a group of horses that come around, and man, that's pretty interesting. And I just got to tell you guys, I feel sorry for the guys who have to clean up the mess after those guys make that. There will be a mess out on the field here that we will be watching all night. Hopefully the Tide will be able to bring it on home and put on a show here at Kyle Field. Reese, let's send it back to you.
4-man rush. Manziel deep right side, tipped. Could be intercepted. Sunseri has it. Vinny Sunseri, who returned one for a touchdown against Vatek, needs a block, needs one more, spins, he's got a touchdown!
There's been no shortage of great memories for Alabama at Texas A&M, and this was back in the day when the Tide knew what it was like to lose to A&M, because you saw Johnny Manziel right there. He had beaten the Tide in Tuscaloosa the year before. Now, A&M is going to need all sorts of playmakers, maybe a lot of them we haven't even heard of yet. Realistically, if they want to hang with Alabama in this game tonight, Jim Dunaway, Next Round Live, back with us here. You look at the game, Jim, you know all the talent that Alabama has, and then you look at Texas A&M. Do they have the horses, and do they have the quarterback to score enough points on Alabama is the big question.
Yeah, which problem you want to start with? Let's start with the Aggies offense. The QB2, Zach Calzada, he's averaging 143 yards of passing offense in the 2 SEC games. That's not going to beat Alabama, right? Then you got to worry about the Aggies pass defense that gave up 408 yards passing to Will Rogers last week of Mississippi State. That's not going to beat Alabama. So you're struggling on both sides of the football. This better have been a great week of practice in Aggie land for Jimbo Fisher if they're going to stay in this game tonight.
You know, Brian Robinson's banged up at running back. Jace McClellan is out for the year. Is there any reason to believe that this Alabama run game will struggle against A&M? Because it feels like to me A&M's defensive front has to be impeccable in this game to have a chance.
Well, I mean, Brian Robinson's coming off the biggest game of his career where they let him carry it 36 times. And then here comes Roydell Williams. I mean, this is Alabama recruiting at its best, right? Roydell Williams is now coming in as sort of your third or fourth option at running back. And I think every time he's touched the ball this year, he's been electric. I think the ceiling is very high for that guy, both as a runner and a pass catcher out of the backfield. So I'm excited to see Roydell Williams maybe get a bigger role tonight for the Tide.
So Alabama, Roydell Williams, Hueytown's finest. We'll see if the Crimson Tide have what it takes to go on the road. We've seen them do it so many times before. Jim will check back in with you here a little bit later on College Football Saturday. Auburn tried to run the ball as best they could against Georgia, but they could not do it. And that Georgia defense, you cannot say enough great things about how stout they were. We'll talk more about that game on the other side of this break. And just because the game ended poorly for Auburn didn't mean that their fearless leader of basketball wasn't doing his best to pump up this crowd. Bruce Pearl and the basketball team are right in the thick of it, and the best part about all of it is somebody had a crazy idea where, you know what, how do we rile up these fans? How about we all go topless? Yes, that is Bruce Pearl next to Cam Newton, who didn't go topless, by the way, to try to rev up these Auburn fans. They didn't win the game. They sure had fun, especially early on.
This is CBS 42's College Football Saturday pregame, presented by Pepsi.
Well, I don't think there's a player in the history of the Auburn program who would be dying to get on the field as much as Bo Nix is today. He's out for at least the rest of this regular season with an injury. TJ Finley will take the guard at quarterback, and Bo will try to rally his troops from the sideline. And, of course, anytime you talk about Alabama and Auburn, the conversation is going to come up. Who is the greatest Alabama head coach ever? Is it Nick Saban? Is it Bear Bryant? Well, the career numbers for both maybe could tell the story, but maybe not. Just during their time at Alabama, it's staggering that Bryant's got 57 more wins than Saban, of course, 10 more seasons under his belt. Bryant also had the edge in SEC titles and Iron Bowl wins. The two are tied with 6 national championships at Alabama. But boy, you really feel like Nick Saban eventually, it could be this year, it could be 8 years from now, could end up beating Bear Bryant for titles at Alabama. D. Jackson's back in our Birmingham studios right now, and there was an iconic moment in this Auburn-Alabama game for Bear Bryant in one specific season.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Breeze, it's hard to believe it was 40 years ago. My family actually lived on Pearson Avenue near West End High School, and I remember our neighbors Lucy and Bando Galt telling me to always remember this particular Iron Bowl because something special was about to happen.
I'd like for the people to remember me as being a winner, because I ain't never been nothing but a winner.
Those words never rang out as loud as they did following Alabama's 1981 28-17 Iron Bowl victory over Auburn. Bear Bryant surpassed Alonzo Staggs, becoming college football's all-time winningest head coach. The larger-than-life figure from Morro Bottom, Arkansas, had attained celebrity status and was arguably the second most famous man in America.
Coach Bryant, it gives me great pleasure to congratulate you for becoming the winningest coach in football history. Some people don't like to admit it, but America loves a winner. Today in Alabama and all over the United States, being a winner becomes synonymous with Coach Bear Bryant.
And for those who saw it firsthand, they walked away with a lifetime of memories.
I'm thankful for the opportunity and to play for such a great coach, and I would say a great person, great man.
All-American Jeremiah Castile remembers the week leading up to the game and also thinks back to how the genius of Bear Bryant came full circle in one of the most famous plays from that game.
There's a play Lenny Patrick makes, a run he makes in that 3-15 game. And the prior spring, Lenny got in a little trouble missing curfew in the spring, and Lenny Patrick got the ball every play. And until he literally couldn't get up off the ground. That was Coach Bryant's way of punishing him for being late for curfew.
The game itself had plenty of drama. Pat Dye was in his first year at Auburn, with the Tigers being a 13-point underdog. They led 17-14 with 12:58 in the fourth. But quarterback Walter Lewis led an impressive drive and found Jesse Bendros to take the lead for Alabama. They added another Lenny Patrick touchdown on their way to history as Bear Bryant had reached the top of the mountain. And with that type of success comes a lot of responsibility. But just as he took it all in stride, Coach Bryant made sure his players understood the true secret to success.
I really, under Coach Bryant, came to understand you have to work. It's W-O-R-K. And your success is going to be based on your work. And one of the things he says, man, I don't believe in luck. You're going to have to work.
Hard work, dedication, and character. All words to describe one of the greatest in college football history, who left us with more than just an impressive resume. Always the Southern gentleman, Bear Bryant always knew what to say when it came to his biggest win against his biggest rival.
I want to thank all the people who were there, and Auburn and Alabama was a great game, a great series. It's going to get better every year.
Now, Bryant finished his career with 323 total wins. He's been passed several times over the years, but Nick Saban still has a long way to catch Bryant. Saban comes in at 266 wins in his career. And during his radio show this week, Saban had a message for Tide fans who've been critical of some of their close wins this season.
When I came here, everybody was happy to win a game. All right, now we're not happy to win a game anymore. We're not happy to win a game at all. All right, we think we should win games by whatever. And I don't think that's fair to the players either, all right, because our players work their butt off, all right, to be the best that they can be. And they're not perfect. All right, they're just college students. They go to school every day. They got to study. All right, they have to run extra after practice when they miss study hall. I mean, come on, give me a break. This is not professional football. And you know what else? Nobody wants to win worse than they do. Not me, not you. I don't care what kind of fan you are. So for all you self-absorbed folks out there that can't look past your own self, all right, to appreciate what other people are doing.
That microphone's still smoking. Chris and Jim, some pretty explosive comments from Coach Saban there. Never afraid to tell it like it is.
I have a few favorites of his rants. Yeah. Tin Horn comes to mind. 2015, dead, buried, and gone when they lost to Ole Miss. This is now my new favorite.
Oh, that's fantastic. And listen, Coach Bryant always had a saying, the price of victory is high, so are the rewards. What Nick Saban was telling you there is the fact that the guys that are doing the price of victory, are the ones wearing the uniform, and all of us are reaping the rewards, media, the fans, and everything. So don't demand more than the people who are actually paying the price. But I think if you go back to 09, 11, 12, 15, 17, and 20, okay, you didn't hear a quote like that from Nick Saban.
You didn't need to.
You didn't need to. It's these kind of years where you need to appreciate the wins a little more, because it's a little bit of a struggle for them to get victories this year.
There's still years they can win a national championship. I think the reason why it resonates so much is the fact that what did he say that was false? Who doesn't agree with what he said?
Yeah, exactly. And all the people clapping because it became a revival.
We're probably the people who are also booing the team.
Not self-aware enough to know that they're talking about you, and they're talking about me, and they're talking about you.
Well, if they can win this game against Brian Harsin's first-year Auburn Tigers, it'll erase a little bit. And, of course, they'll have Georgia next week for the SEC Championship. We'll talk about if Alabama can even lose that game against Georgia and make the college football playoff. Of course, there are a lot of great traditions here on the Auburn campus, whether it's Alabama week or not. One of them is the rolling of Toomer's Corner. Where does the history start with that? Well, everybody differs in their opinion of where it started, but there is one former Auburn player who could be credited back in the 70s, that Bama punt game, for why this really got going for this Iron Bowl rivalry in every game that Auburn plays that they get a victory. Before we go to break, this is going to be the first Iron Bowl at Jordan-Hare since the passing of former Auburn head coach Pat Dye. And it just might be the most influential person, Pat Dye, in this long storied rivalry. Why? Well, he was the one who helped introduce the game to Auburn and Alabama, get it out of Birmingham's Legion Field. They had their first home game in 1989 at Jordan-Hare. That was thanks to Pat Dye. Alabama followed suit in 2000, about a decade later. We'll be right back after this.